Well, there you have it. There you have it. Time to tackle the Toyota Hilux Surf. So, I'm about to pull the motor out of it. Are you wondering why? You're like, wait, you just drove it in. It's running. Why are you pulling the motor out of it? Well, one thing, let me show you this. All spots, all spot, all spot, all spot, all spot. And where it's set out here for a little bit, it will be oil puddle. This thing drops breadcrumbs everywhere it goes. Oil puddle, and it wasn't even there very long. And the reason why, because the crankcase is full of pressure, and so is the radiator. And I have to keep the cap loose or off the top of it all the time. And you know why it's that way? Because these Toyotas, with this 2 LTE 2.4 liter, the 2.8 liter, the 3.0 liter, they were all notorious for cracking the head. Yeah, notorious for it. This has been cracked for a while. For several years. I babied it along, keep the cap loose, but finally the cracks got bigger. No water's going in the oil, but the crankcase pressure got really bad. Now, before you start, you're going to start diagnosing it for me. Just hold on, I'll save you a little trouble. These are notorious, as I said, for cracking the head and splitting across up in the combustion chamber. And they made the metal too thin from the factory in the early ones. They rectified it later by recasting the heads and making them thicker. But this is most likely the original head on here, and it needs to be changed. So I've been on a search for a head for a while, and all the ones I was able to find for a long while here in the country had no cam, had no valves, had nothing. It was a naked head, and I didn't want that. I wanted it all fresh. So then I bought one from a company down in Australia. Well, when they shipped it through eBay Global Shipping, they shipped it from Australia, and it went like into England, to the UK, to Royal Post, and then it got shipped. Then it got shipped to Singapore, and then it got shipped to Hong Kong, and then it got shipped to the Philippines, and it was kicked out of the Philippines, and it was sent back, and it was sent back to Hong Kong, and then Hong Kong said, no, it's right, it's going to you, and they sent it back down to Cebu, and Cebu said, no, 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 and they sent it right back, and then it backtracked its way all the way back to England, and then it fell off the radar and was never seen or heard from again. Yeah, and so that was the only one that company had available. The seller got refunded, and I got refunded both because he couldn't even get his head back. It literally disappeared in the UK with Royal Post. And man, what a nightmare they were to deal with. I had a lot of trouble tracking it, where this eBay Global Shipping program had a lot of trouble tracking that, and I didn't get it. A while back, an ad started popping up on Facebook when you're strolling homepage and there's paid advertisements on there, and it was for these auto parts up in Manila. Well, I had checked with companies up in Manila numerous times before. It wasn't my first rodeo, and it was no luck, no luck, no luck. And no sir, we don't have. No sir, they'd be quick to answer. No sir. I checked with a company here in Iloilo, and he swore he could get me one, but only if he's the one that installed it and this and this, and I don't know. I looked at the shop, and it was pretty messy there. Nice guy, but really, really chaotic mayhem there. And I saw motors opened up over there below the customers, and it's a dirt floor, and there's grime all over the parts and all. And I thought, You know, he's a nice guy. If he would just sell me the part, I'd buy it from him, but I'm gonna pass on letting them do it. And he might have done a wonderful job, I don't know. Looks of the place didn't impress me none. So anyway, not saying they had to have a shop like in the US, but man, it was a lot of grime on the parts they were putting back together on a motor that I was looking at, and I'm like, I wouldn't want that to be my motor. So I passed on that deal. He just would not sell unless he would be the one to do the work. And he was talking about it taking, you know, maybe months to get the head. So I said, okay, he's getting it imported in as well. I can just do that myself without paying a markup. So then this ad popped up for this company in Manila, and they're showing it had all these, you know, brand new parts and stuff, you know. And in the image on the ad, I recognized the head to my motor, and they had all these little images put together like a little collage. Said that looks like a head for a 2L engine, 2LTE, or it can be the, and that can be the 2.4, 2.8 liter, 3.0 liter 4-cylinder. Mine's the 2.4, and I said, oh man, that looks like a complete head. So I wrote him. I said, hey, do y'all have the head for this particular? I gave him the year, model, everything. Yes, sir. I said, is that it right there in your image? Yes, it is, sir. And they gave me a price. And I said, it's complete, valves, cam, everything, sir, includes everything. Really, really prompt to respond, man. What you want, right? What you want. And they said, if you want it, just let us know. We'll send it COD. I don't have to mess with no wiring them money or anything. They'll send it COD and have the cashier on hand waiting for them when they show up. I said, man, let's do it. Man, they had it boxed up a little bit. They had labels. They sent me pictures of it all boxed up. Labels printed off, taped, everything with our name and all. COD, and it is on its way. I said, oh man, that is sweet. That is sweet. Well, I'm so happy. Now I've already got timing belt and the tensioners, and I've got a new water pump for it. The next thing is my clutch. I'll show you. It's right here. You're like, what? Your clutch is not in your truck and you're driving it? Yeah, here's the clutch. There's the clutch right there. There's the pressure plate. Yeah, that's the original right there. I had it changed. I paid a shop to put a clutch in it. And this is kind of where I get trust issues. So that clutch pedal on that thing, it was always kind of nice and firm, man. You know, you push in, you feel you're pushing against the pressure plate, you know, nice strong pressure plate in that 4-wheel drive truck right there. Well, we got where we were, you know, slipping, climbing some steep mountains and stuff and all. Mel and I would take it out back roading and all. And I said, you know what? It's time to put a clutch in it. So I went to a shop that I had some faith in. And I said, can y'all do a clutch in my truck? Yeah. Can y'all get the parts? Yeah. And I had faith in him. And I went by there. They had the transmission, transfer case, everything out of it. And that afternoon, once I seen it was all apart, that afternoon they called late that evening and said it's ready. So I had Melinda to take me over there, and I got in it and I went to push the clutch, and man, I almost just ran my foot through the floorboard. I'm like, man, maybe they didn't bleed the clutch cylinder or slave cylinder or something. I'm like, I'm pumping on it, like, because it's not mechanical, it's hydraulic on the throwout bearing. So I went and got them, and they got her and said, no, it's good, it's no problem. I said, man, that's not how it felt before. That thing is soft. It's disengaging and it's engaging, but it is soft, soft, soft. When you've been driving your vehicle for a long time, you know the feel of it. You've got muscle memory on it. And owner guy wasn't there, just employees were, and I said, man, this thing ain't right. And they said, well, that's it. They go make a phone call to him and all, and come back. Oh, they said it's correct. And so I go back over there another day, and I said, man, what's up with my clutch, man? This ain't right. And I said, and it's slipping like in third and fourth gear. I said, I wouldn't even be able to go up a steep grade with it. Oh, well, it has a clutch and pressure plate for a car, because a lot of these parts are universal. Like Toyota and them will keep them, like back in the day, really common across their spectrum of vehicles. So the clutch and pressure plate, it's the same splines, the same diameter, everything, for like a car or a little two-wheel drive light duty truck. But of course, it's a really soft pressure plate, to where like this four-wheel drive, heavier, bigger, and all that, has got a really hard pressure plate. So they just bought the clutch and pressure plate for a car. It was all that was available, and they put it in there, and they charged me for it. And it has the wrong one, and they weren't like, well, we'll make it good, or we'll get the right one and put it in there. Nothing. Take care, see you later. I dare you question my work. And I'm like, man, if I had known that, honestly, if I had known that, I would have even went and had the set out of there rebuilt. There's I found a place just probably only 5 kilometers from here that will rebuild those. And I mean, even in worst case, I would have just changed the clutch disc and put my old pressure plate back. That's why I still have them, so I can match and get the right one. It's a journey here sometimes, man. It is. It's just a journey. I just don't even know what to say. It's like Mel took our truck over to a place, and it's supposed to be for oil change and check the air filter and all. And I'm like, why does it take them so long to get an oil change done? And Melinda said, they called, they said truck's ready. And I said, how much is it? And it was like some higher price. Oh, well, they said it needed brakes and this, and they put brakes on it too. And I'm like, what? I didn't take that truck over there for brakes, and the brakes were still, plenty of life on them. They weren't like full, but they were definitely half-life. And I'm like, what? I never authorized brakes to be put on the truck. She said she didn't either. She just got there and they had done brakes on it and handed her a list of other things that said it needed. Well, we had another shop swear to us that it needed tie rod ends, and that the tie rod ends were about to pop off. And I'm like, well, the truck drives straight and the tires aren't wearing. Oh no, you need them. And they're dangerous. You need to get it done soon. And I didn't get it done where it was at. We were away from home. But when I did take it to a shop, they raised it up and looked at it, and they said, you don't need tie rod ends. I said, I didn't think so either, but they just insisted, and I never jacked it up. I just said, with they that insistent, I better go take it somewhere. And they had it up in there, and they showed me, and I said, man, this thing don't need no tie rod ends. They're in wonderful shape. This is why I like to do so much stuff myself. I try to get into that mode like, okay, I'll quit doing everything myself and pay somebody to do some stuff. But it just turns into a waste of money. So that's the story on it. I'm going to pull the motor out. I'm going to power wash and scrub massively the underside of the truck where it's been blowing and leaking oil. I'm going to drop the fuel tank, fix the fuel sending unit. We'll talk about one more thing before I start destroying the truck. Another problem on these motors is they turbocharged them, but they didn't put an intercooler. And I had one on here where I could at the time until I was ready to do this motor. So this was an interim fix before, but believe it or not, it really helped. I will talk about that. When you compress air with a turbo, the compressing of the air causes friction in the air, right? The molecules compress together and all, you know, it causes heat, causes energy. And so coming out of that turbocharger don't have nothing to do with the exhaust, okay? I've heard some goofy people that apparently don't know how turbo works. You're using you got two fans in a turbo. You got two halves. You got the back half back here. It's underneath this cover. That is taking your exhaust and blowing through there and whirling that turbine. And then your exhaust goes straight on out. It hits the road, you know, hit the road jack. But it's spinning a shaft through there that's spinning another impeller on this side that's compressing air. It's sucking intake air and compressing it and forcing it over into the motor, and that compressed air causes heat. And so when that air is going into the motor, into the intake, after it's been compressed with a turbo, it can be several hundred degrees. It could be 350, 400 degrees even, according to how much boost you're putting on, or higher maybe. I mean, like an oven, right? You could, you know, bake something at those temperatures. So you already got really hot air going into the motor, into the combustion chamber, and then you have the detonation of the fuel underneath compression. With a high compression engine, you know, diesel going not off spark, it explodes from compression, and so that's a massive heat generation in there, and thus also made it easier for it to crack a head. If you put an intercooler and you cool that temperature down, you actually get more power. It's able to better use the fuel. Not as much raw fuel goes out the back that's unburned, and you make a whole lot more power. So that's why intercoolers are so important. So now, this time while the motor's out, I'm going to be doing some more upgrades. So I'm going to be taking this intercooler, and I have more of the piping and boot kit, and right here in this bumper, this is all hollow back in here, all right in here. I'll remove these, and I'm going to move the license plate. And so inside that bumper, right across right there, that is a hollow void. So yeah, if I ever did a hard impact, I'd damage my intercooler, but according to them, it might be the last thing it ever did anyway. So I'm gonna put it right there, and with these lights gone, which how you like it, a new light, and it didn't last no time. Man, the quality these days. But with all of this out of the way, that's actually open slots in behind there. And so that way air will be blowing through that intercooler. So that's going to be a help, and I'll get that pipe down. Another thing is this was a 91 truck, which, you know, that's years they were crazy about emissions and vacuum hoses and stuff. This was also originally in Japan. It was an import to the Philippines from Japan. So in Japan it had glow plugs. This engine doesn't need glow plugs down here in the tropics. So a whole lot of this stuff in here just laying is things that go like for glow plugs and old emission stuff. This stuff here goes to the glow plugs, just laying in here, just flip-flopping. And what I'm going to do is clean this thing up. Pretty cool. Hope y'all enjoy the series as I do this and all. And comment, give me any advice you want to. Tell me what you know on these old trucks and all. And hope it's an enjoyable series for you. And hope that afterwards we can see this old truck rolling on the road again in my videos like I used to, and having some good times with it. Boy, this is fun working on a diesel. Everything's always covered in soot. Well, perfect timing. I'm over there disconnecting everything to pull the motor out of the truck, and a delivery truck showed up. First I thought it might have been the cylinder head and the clutch, but they weren't asking for money, so I knew it wasn't that. And this is my engine stand that I ordered. It's got to be. So I'm so filthy, and I'm gonna go right back at it. I asked Miller if he'll cut the box open there. Packaged it well, it looks like. Boy, I hope this thing's good. There you go. And then one more box. You can use that sack. That's why I didn't want you to cut it. Yeah, I know y'all always looking for those. Nice, nice, nice. So there it is, man. They really boxed it up good. I'm happy for that.